Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're heading into the world of triads,
Right.
and we're focusing specifically on a really major player, the Sunyon.
Definitely one of the biggest. You hear that name a lot.
Yeah, think of them as one of the, well, leading triad societies operating out of Hong Kong and China.
Exactly. And when you talk about triads, Sun Yi An, they're almost always part of the conversation.
Mhm.
So our goal here in this deep dive is to really try and understand their story,
Where they came from, how they grew.
their origins, yeah, their growth,
Yeah.
and some of the key events that have really shaped them. We're drawing on quite a range of sources here.
Okay, so let's take it right back. The beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1919. We're in British Hong Kong, and that's apparently where the Sunyon was founded.
By a man named Hung Chin.
Hung Chin, and what's really interesting, I think, is his background. He was Teochew.
That's right, Tio Chu, or Chaozu. And the name itself, Yi'an, is actually a historical name for Chaozu.
Oh, okay, so it connects directly.
Yeah, the name ties them right back to their roots.
That makes sense.
It's quite significant, actually. That kind of strong connection, shared geography,
Mhm.
culture. You see that with a lot of triad societies.
Right. It helps build that initial unity.
Yeah, acts as a powerful unifying force, especially early on. And when we talk about size, this group is huge.
Okay, how big are we talking?
Well, estimates put it at over 25,000 members worldwide.
25,000. Wow.
Yeah, and reported activity in, well, a lot of countries.
It's almost hard to grasp that scale, isn't it?
It really is.
So, obviously, Hong Kong, mainland China, Japan, but then it stretches globally.
Oh, yeah. Places like France, South Africa, the UK, India, Thailand, Korea,
Colombia, Canada, the US, Australia.
Central America, too.
Yeah.
And they're believed to have a presence in Belgium as well. It's extensive.
And the kinds of activities they're allegedly involved in. It's pretty serious stuff.
It's the typical portfolio for major organized crime, really. Racketeering, counterfeiting, extortion,
Drug trafficking, money laundering.
murder, illegal gambling. It paints a picture of a very serious, very far-reaching criminal enterprise.
Definitely. And how do they fit into the sort of bigger picture, the underworld landscape? Alliances, rivals?
Right, context is important. So sources suggest alliances with other triads, like Wo Hop 2 and Wo On Lok,
Okay.
and even internationally. Links reported with the Albanian Mafia, the Camorra in Italy, Serbian Mafia, parts of the American Mafia,
Mhm.
even the Sinaloa cartel.
That's quite a network.
It is. But they have rivals too, of course.
Mhm.
Major ones, reportedly, the 14K Triad, Huaqing, Woxingwo. These are serious conflicts.
Okay, so a complex web of relationships there. Let's dive back into those early days then.
Sound good?
So Hung Chin founds the group in 1919. What happens next? I read he was deported.
Yeah, in the early 1950s, he gets deported to Taiwan. That's obviously a major shift.
Yeah, who takes over? Does the leadership pass on?
Well, according to reports, it's alleged that his eldest son, Hong Wai-yim, stepped in.
His son, okay.
And what's particularly intriguing about him is that apparently his day job was a law clerk.
A law clerk. Seriously?
Yeah. It creates this, fascinating contrast. Someone seemingly operating within the legal system.
While potentially leading a huge criminal group. Wow.
Makes you wonder about the strategies involved, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The secrecy needed.
Absolutely. And how they can embed themselves in legitimate structures. There was also a mention that maybe the triad wasn't just Hung Chin, but founded by a wider group, Teochew and Hokkien immigrants.
Yes, some sources suggest that it points to maybe a broader base in those related communities right from the start.
Which could explain some of their initial growth and cohesion.
Quite possibly. It gives them a larger pool to draw from, a shared identity.
Okay, now let's jump forward a bit. The 1980s, there was something called the Spill. What was that about? Sounds dramatic.
It was a really pivotal moment, yeah. It brought the Sun Yi on much more into the public eye, certainly law enforcement's eye.
How so?
Well, in February 1986, you have this former Hong Kong police officer, Anthony Chung. He'd actually become a member of the Sun Yi-an.
A police officer turned triad member.
Exactly. And he decides he wants out, seeks police protection. He becomes an informant.
Okay, that's big.
And crucially, he identifies Hung Wai-yim, the law clerk's son, as the leader.
Ah, so he points the finger directly at the top.
Precisely. And that kicks off a major police investigation leading to arrests in April 1987.
Right. But wasn't there something else, something found in his office? It wasn't just Chung's testimony, was it?
No, you're right. That was maybe the smoking gun. During the search of Hung Wai-yim's law office,
Yeah.
they found a list with 900 numbered names.
900 names. in a law office.
And the significance, allegedly, was that this was a membership roster for the Sun Yan.
Wow. Just laid out like that.
Pretty much. I mean, imagine uncovering that. Potential proof of the structure right there amidst legal documents. It's quite striking.
Unbelievable. So that leads to the trial then, October 87.
That's right. And Hung Hua-yim, he maintains his innocence throughout. He even claims he's just the president of a local Lions Club chapter.
A Lions Club, given the charges. That seems almost...
Yeah, a bit of a stretch, maybe. Trying to project that respectable image.
So what happened? The verdict?
Well, despite the denials, the Lions Club story, in January 1988, the jury found him and 5 others guilty.
Guilty. And the sentence?
Hung Hua-yim got 7.5 years in prison.
That trial must have been a big deal.
Oh, huge. It provided, tangible evidence, proof of the Sun Yan's existence, its structure, who was allegedly running things.
Did it cripple them, do you think?
It definitely had an impact, no doubt.
Yeah.
But dismantle them entirely? Probably not. These organizations are resilient.
Right, which seems clear when we look at the 2000s. They were still active, weren't they?
Very much so. Reports talk about their alleged continued involvement in vice establishments, places like Sin Fa Tsui, Yau Ma Tai in Hong Kong.
So business as usual in a way, despite the earlier conviction.
It seems that way. I mean, in November 2010, you have the arrest of this guy, Saibi Chan,
Okay.
described as an alleged red pole in the Triad.
Or red pole. Well, that's like an enforcer, right? High ranking.
Exactly, a senior fighter or lieutenant figure. And he was arrested for vice offenses, money laundering.
So still operating in those same areas,
Yeah.
involved in the same activities.
Yeah, it shows that even with leadership changes, legal pressure, their core activities seem to persist well into the new millennium.
And then there was that murder, Li Tai Lung. That sounded pretty brutal.
Yeah, August 2009. He was a Sun Ye-an boss based in Sim Sha Tsui.
And it was a rival gang, Wo Xing Wo.
Reportedly, yes. A revenge attack carried out by Wo Xing Wo members.
Revenge for what?
Well, the backstory apparently goes back to a bar fight in 2006.
Okay.
Seems Li Tai Lung injured a senior member of the Wo Xing Wo quite badly back then.
3 years earlier.
Yeah. That incident apparently just festered. Led to Li's assassination 3 years later.
Wow. That really highlights the long memories and the violence in those rivalries, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Deep grudges erupting into serious violence. It's a common theme, unfortunately.
And killing a boss like Li Tai Lung, that must have caused chaos within the Sunye in that area. A power vacuum.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone trying to step into his shoes, right?
Yeah.
Our sources suggest that initially, 3 of his old followers tried to hang on to control of his, quote, lucrative entertainment empire.
Right. His turf.
But then you had another alleged red pole, this guy Ko Tat, trying to move in, expand his influence.
Okay, internal competition.
And then another leader from a different Sun Yi on faction, Tai Hao, also made a play for it.
So a multi-way struggle. Sounds messy.
Very. And all this internal fighting led to a huge undercover police operation, January 2012. Massive sting.
How massive?
They arrested 222 people.
222. Just from that one power struggle.
Yeah, it really shows the scale of these turf wars and, the kind of law enforcement response they can trigger.
So who ended up in charge? Did anyone consolidate power?
Well, the latest suspicion mentioned in the reports points towards someone called Ko Chin. He might be the one controlling Li's old territory now.
It's just a constantly shifting landscape, isn't it? Power, influence.
Always seems to be. And it wasn't just Hong Kong. Around the same time, there was action across the border, too.
In mainland China.
Yeah. Shenzhen, March 2012, Chinese police arrested 102 alleged Sun Yi'an members there.
So their reach definitely extends beyond Hong Kong.
Clearly. And it shows that authorities in the mainland are also actively targeting them. It's a transnational problem.
It's fascinating, though, how these real-world groups like Sun Yi'an seep into popular culture.
Yeah, it happens quite often, doesn't it?
Our sources mention a couple of examples. An anime.
Right. Black Lagoon. Apparently, it features a Thai branch of a group explicitly called Sun Yi'an.
Really? They use a name.
Yeah, led by a character named Wan. And they're shown, competing with other crime groups in this fictional city.
Interesting. So the name itself has that kind of cultural cachet almost.
It seems so,
Yeah.
even internationally. And then there's the video game.
Sleeping Dogs, 2012. I remember that one.
Yeah, and the main character, he infiltrates a triad called the Sun On Yi.
Sun On Yi. Okay, slightly changed.
Right, but it's openly acknowledged as being inspired by the Sun Yi'an.
And what was interesting there was the personal angle, wasn't it? The undercover cop knew them.
Exactly. He grew up with some of the members he's investigating. which adds this whole layer of, complexity and danger to his mission.
Yeah, divided loyalties, the risks. It makes you think about the human side of it all.
Definitely makes for a more compelling story.
Yeah.
And it probably reflects some real-world difficulties, right? Infiltrating groups where the bonds run so deep. Family, childhood, friends.
Yeah, must be incredibly difficult. One last point mentioned was about Hung Chin's other sons, Charles and Jimmy Hung.
Right. The sources briefly mention them and their involvement in activities outside of the Sun Yuan itself.
So not directly involved in the triad, necessarily.
That's the suggestion. It implies the family's influence, their interests, might extend beyond just the organized crime aspect.
Different ventures, maybe legitimate businesses.
Potentially.
Okay.
It shows the multifaceted nature of these powerful families, perhaps. Raises questions about how separate those different worlds really are.
Okay, so bringing this all together, we've covered quite a bit of ground on the Sun Yuan.
We have.
From the founding 1919 Hong Kong, growing into this global organization, massive membership.
Right, and their alleged involvement in a whole spectrum of criminal activities.
We looked at key moments, the deportation, the Sun taking over that big trial in the 80s,
The internal power struggles, the violence in the 2000s.
and even how they pop up in anime and video games.
Yeah, that cultural reflection is interesting too.
So overall, their presence, their enduring presence in organized crime, well, it's undeniable, isn't it?
Absolutely. The sheer size, the international reach, it really highlights the challenge in understanding and tackling these kinds of deep-rooted networks.
It really makes you think about the resilience, you know? How do these organizations manage to just keep going? Through decades of police efforts, internal wars.
Adaptability must be key. And maybe the very structures that make them criminal also make them hard to dismantle.
Yeah. And it's also quite thought-provoking, seeing how these real groups inspire fiction, sometimes blurring the lines between the grim reality and, the entertainment we consume.
That interplay is fascinating.
Maybe that's something for you, the listener, to mull over. That relationship between the historical facts of organized crime and how we end up representing it in our culture.